From WRAL News, this is Focal Point.
It began with sliding home prices and subprime home loans with exploding interest rates.
And if you weren't able to refinance, that was setting people up for failure.
And I had short term 117.5.
Failures led to foreclosures.
And I felt like a failure to my kids.
The mortgage mess had a domino effect on the financial industry and eventually the entire economy.
This time, it's affecting everyone. Everyone is affected.
North Carolina companies are laying off thousands of workers.
They're just chopping bodies left and right.
For many workers, unemployment benefits are running out.
I need to find a job really fast.
Some retirees are trying to find work too after losing much of their savings in the stock market.
5 out of 7 Americans have lost over $100,000.
For many, dreams of a comfortable retirement are now on hold.
Oh, I clipped a few funds too, and we eat leftovers.
But even in times like these, there's reason to hope, because all across our state, there are people who are here to help. Most of us have not seen times like this before. Falling stocks, rising unemployment, and the government rescuing major corporations. Nearly all of us have been touched by these tough times in some way. Our focal point, how North Carolinians are affected and the resources available to help them. We begin where the recession did, with the housing market.
Mr. White, how you doing, sir?
Shannon and Sharon Holland live in Durham. They're both working full-time jobs and raising 3 children. 5 years ago, they decided it was time to buy a home.
We were ready to establish ourselves as being husband and wife, mother and father, and also a part of our community. And buying a house was along with that.
Home loans were easy to come by, even with their low credit score. They found an adjustable rate mortgage that offered a payment they could afford.
We couldn't get a fixed rate, but we were just so excited and so happy to finally have a slice of the American dream, you know, that we said, well, okay, we're going to jump on this. We'll be all right.
The interest rate on the ARM was high, about 10%. But the Hollands thought if they could make their payments on time, they could improve their credit enough to qualify for a lower fixed rate later.
The talk at the signing of the papers was, well, if you continue to do this for a year, then turn it right back around and refinance it, we could drop this for you real fast.
Several months later, the Hollands both had to change jobs.
I was making $13 an hour, and I went down to $9.50. You was making $13, and then you went down to
$10 an hour.
Yeah.
Then 2 years into the mortgage, their interest rate jumped, and so did their monthly payment by nearly $300.
It was traumatic. I never would have thought that it would have leaped like that. Plus, I don't make that kind of money anyway.
Suddenly, their expenses exceeded their income.
Determination whether we're going to eat this week or whether we're going to pay this bill.
The Hollands soon fell behind on their mortgage payments.
We couldn't catch up. It just was impossible.
Shannon took a second job.
I was working third shift at one place and leave there and go to another place, come home, sleep for about 3 hours, and go back to the job again. And that was killing me.
And still, it was not enough. The Hollands pleaded with their mortgage company.
Can we make a deal? Can we make some kind of payment until we can get something going? And the mortgage company didn't want to do it.
Eventually, a sheriff's deputy showed up at the door to serve foreclosure papers.
And I felt like a failure to my kids. Scan over all of what's in Durham.
The Hollands began looking for another place to live.
A lot of places that we were filling out applications to move into to rent didn't want to deal with us because we had the foreclosure on our credit.
The Hollands had to settle for a rental property in a bad part of town.
And that happened to be the heart of one of the areas that we did not want to be in. But we didn't have any choice.
Gunfire in the neighborhood rattled them.
And my 8-year-old, she looked at me and she started crying. And she said, "Mama, why did you move us here?" And so I said, "I'm sorry." I said, "I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it."
They soon found out that the owner of the property they rented was in foreclosure too.
So I said, Lord have mercy, here we go again. This cannot be happening.
The Hollands were forced to leave. They found this rental house managed by a company that was eager to have them as tenants.
They should have sent up a red flag, but it didn't. Hey, how you?
2 months after moving in, the same deputy who served foreclosure papers on their first home was now serving foreclosure papers on this one.
And when I opened the door, I said, what? Are you kidding me? I said, do you remember me? She said, yes, I do. I am so sorry. And I just began to cry. Because I said, this cannot be happening again.
Now the Hollands are waiting for a letter giving them 10 days notice to leave.
When I lay down at night, my last thought before I close my eyes and go to sleep is, what's going to be in the mail tomorrow?
The North Carolina Banking Commission says the Holland story is fairly typical of the subprime market, where the primary product was something called the exploding arm. The payment jumps 10 to 20% 2 years into the loan.
They were certainly selling these products that were designed to fail.
Another product was the Ninja Loan, which stood for no income, no job or assets.
Which basically meant if you had a heartbeat, you could get a mortgage loan.
When home prices were going up, homeowners could always refinance those loans later.
It's only when the home prices started to taper off and decline in some areas that game of musical chairs ended.
Meantime, mortgage brokers and lenders made their money up front on closing fees and resold the mortgages.
The risk of that loan, if it wasn't repaid, was going to be borne by someone else. And so that created these incentives to close the loan at all cost.
In 2008, the General Assembly launched the Home Foreclosure Prevention Project. It requires lenders to provide 45 days notice to homeowners before filing for foreclosure. The notice has to include information on resources to help homeowners.
Generally, the banks, what they do is they put you out. When they sell the house, they then put you out because most owners, want to have a house that's empty they can move into.
The statute changed. It became effective in '99.
The State Banking Commission has set up a hotline for homeowners in trouble. It works with 26 local housing agencies across the state. Counselors at those agencies help homeowners assess their situation, discuss their options, and work with their lenders.
They want you to pay that mortgage. They don't want you to stop paying it, and they're usually willing to negotiate. They can do a loan modification or a repayment plan.
$1,400 a month for something that I'll never own.
The Durham Affordable Housing Coalition referred the Hollands to an organization that's trying to find them another rental property. And the Hollands are also working with the bank that owns their rental house to find a buyer that will let them stay.
I'm not going to feel better until I find a stable place to stay. And I just don't want it to be the shelter. I don't want it to be the shelter.
Next, the number of people who are out of work in our state reaches a record high.
All of a sudden they find themselves unemployed and needing help just to pay rent and feed their families.
You're watching Focal Point from WRAL News.
In the last year, our state's unemployment rate has more than doubled. It is up to nearly 11%. It is the highest rate since the state started keeping seasonally adjusted data 33 years ago. And that's not just a percentage, that's people. Many who climbed career ladders for decades, only to have it pulled out from under them.
Here's my phone number, and they called me.
Bill Bosberg used to work at Nortel.
25 plus years.
He used to love working there.
All the challenges that were out there, all these new things rolling out the door.
But then the company hit hard times.
The terrible cycle's been from 2001 up through December.
In December, it was Bill's turn. His manager called him in on a Monday morning.
She told me that Thursday was going to be my last day with Nortel.
With the economy going the way it was, Bill was not surprised. In fact, he was relieved.
I wanted it to be over.
He expected $50,000 in severance and a pension worth about another $150,000. He figured that would be enough to tide him over until he could find another job.
I'm ready to move on with life.
But Nortel filed for bankruptcy just a couple of weeks after it laid Bill off. The company told him he'd have to seek his severance through the bankruptcy court and that he could not touch his pension until February 2010.
Will you see pennies on the dollar? Will you see 100% of it? Will you see nothing? I've got to look at it that I'm going to see nothing. You know, if I'm lucky, I'll see it all. Realistically, I'm guessing I'll see nothing.
So ask me how many jobs I interviewed for today.
Bill's wife still has her job, but with an unemployment check that's just a fraction of his former salary, they've had to make adjustments.
The eating out is few and far between. We become those coupon shoppers for the discounts on an appetizer or 2-for-1 meals.
Bill's son joined the Navy Reserve to help pay for the rest of his college education, and his daughter has postponed her spring wedding.
You know, just really hit you on that one.
The list for today.
As we were talking with Bill, he got a call from a fellow ex-Nortel employee with the day's list of layoffs.
Sherry's gone. Vance Prince. Pat Cross.
Among the casualties, Bill's manager, the woman who cried when she laid him off, is now laid off herself.
Somebody with 35 years, you know, works 70 hours a week. Great manager, honest with you. Somebody you can trust against that one. They don't care if people are just bodies.
The sentiments of Bill and many other Nortel employees are reflected in a series of YouTube videos that depict Nortel's CEO and senior management as Hitler and his generals. Nortel refused to do an interview with us to explain its decisions and instead emailed us a statement that said, "There is nothing more difficult than having to lay off employees." It went on to say that its business requires significant change to regain its financial footing and emerge as a more competitive player.
That's basically where we are right now as far as getting yours taken care of.
Meantime, laid-off workers can apply for unemployment benefits online or at local Employment Security Commission offices.
We're trying to do what we can to provide assistance to those who rely on us in their time of need.
Thank you. Have a good day.
State benefits pay a percentage of what people were earning at their previous jobs for 26 weeks. Federal funds also provide an emergency 33-week extension.
So there's quite a bit of support for people to help them transition from being dislocated to being engaged again with gainful employment.
Employers can also list open positions with the ESC. But the ESC only lists about 18,000 openings and has 233,000 people looking for work.
Most people want to work. I think that right now we need more jobs available for those people who really want to work.
It should have already been taken care of.
The ESC says its list of openings only reflects employers who've listed with the ESC. It encourages people to search other job listings as well, including online classifieds and job search services. The ESC also links people to opportunities for job training.
We use a lot of external things to define success.
Many laid-off workers are returning to community college to retrain for new careers.
We think the road to recovery runs right through the community college system.
System President Scott WRAL says in times like these, the state's 58 community colleges are a safety net for many people.
When they're looking for hope and looking for opportunity and looking for jobs, they look to their community college.
I've got them called Map 1 and Map 2.
Ray Pleasant did. He was a mechanical designer at Caterpillar before the company laid him off in November with no notice and no severance.
I'm doing the best I can. You know, I've mostly been living on my savings and unemployment, which is running out.
Pleasant is taking a course in geographical information science at Wake Tech.
I've been looking for something that hopefully the job will stay here in the U.S., you know, so like a lot of other people. So
my dream was that
David Melger worked as a software developer at IBM for 26 years before being laid off in January. He started his own software development company and is taking an entrepreneurial venture class at Wake Tech to learn how to market it.
How do I get the word out about my business? How do I correctly target my products to the needs of the market?
Meantime, it's the job market Bill Vosberg is focused on.
4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm up looking for jobs all over the web. I think I've got 7 different iterations of resumes, from 4 pages down to 2 pages, trying to crunch it together.
Bill says he's confident things will work out, but he worries about the toll stress is taking on some of his fellow Nortel workers. He worries about some of them hurting themselves or others.
It keeps me up at night. It really does.
Next, what happens to people when a big chunk of their retirement savings disappears?
Shock.
Numb.
They don't know what to do. They're lost.
You're watching Focal Point from WRAL News.
The Dow has dropped about 40% since its peak in October 2007. That means people with retirement savings in 401ks and IRAs have taken a big hit. For some, that means changing retirement plans or even postponing them altogether.
Okay, honey, we're going to have soup and sandwiches tonight.
Don and Nancy Wheeler didn't worry much about retirement in their working years.
Nancy and I both had worked in industry and had 401ks and contributed to that. We're going to do the grilled cheese.
Then they both lost their jobs.
After being laid off in 2001, it really made us realize that we had to do some reality checks in what we were doing for the long term.
Nancy found another job. They lived off her salary and Don's pension. In 2005, they consolidated their savings and invested in the stock market, and they lived frugally on their journey to retirement.
Then the market meltdown came, and we didn't enjoy the journey during those 4 years, and now 35% of our portfolio value is gone.
How many sandwiches you want, Don?
Gone with it are dreams of retiring debt-free on $5,000 a month in income, at least for now.
I mean, we've had to rethink a lot of things. I can see myself working now much longer to try to build back some of the money we've lost.
Nancy thought she'd be retired by now, but says she might have to work another 4 years.
I thought, well, we'll have enough money that I don't need to work. And now that, everything has happened the way it is, and you think about, well, I have enough money depending on how long I live.
The retirement they worked decades for of traveling, shopping, and fine dining has been put on hold. So have Don's new golf clubs and lessons.
It just hits you and says your retirement, as you have viewed it initially, is now in jeopardy. The goals really didn't change that much, but the timing has.
But what if the cash flow changes?
The Wheelers consulted financial advisors Jim and Teresa Yent to try and get the retirement plan back on track.
Everyone has told investors for years is buy and hold. And buy and hold doesn't work in this type of environment.
So we best check out our coupons.
The Yent's plan for the Wheelers was to reduce their risk by only investing some of their funds in the stock market and putting the rest in no-risk sources they could draw on for monthly income.
When you were working, you never put your paycheck at risk, so why are you putting your paycheck at risk today? So what do you think about this one right here?
The Yents say the idea is to use the growth fund to reload the income fund every 5 to 10 years.
Buy one, get one free.
Whatever the situation, the Yents say people who've taken a hit in the market and need retirement advice should consult a qualified professional financial advisor to develop the right strategy for them.
There's no one pill answer, but usually there's several solutions that you can weave together.
All right.
Together with their peers, the Wheelers now steer a new course towards retirement.
And get your first job. Or, most of us this age are all in the same boat. So it's like, we're all clipping coupons and eating at the same places, and everybody's got a suggestion of where you go. Hey, I've got a coupon for this. Hey, let's go here tonight. You can eat over here at Senior Citizens at such and such a thing. So it's almost like being back in college again.
Oh, pizza's always good, though.
Back looking for half-price dinners.
There was a time when that would kind of bother me, but it doesn't bother me anymore.
You want to know what we have for Here to Help? Next, we may be here to report the news of this recession, but we're also here to help.
We want to help our community get through these times.
You're watching Focal Point from WRAL News.
We've had to deliver a lot of bad news in the last year or so about our economy and how it's affecting our community, but we're a part of this community too. And so we think we have the responsibility to go beyond just reporting the news and also be here to help.
How did you find out about
this credit card option.
In our work, we meet many of you in person and hear your stories firsthand, so we know what many of you are going through.
I think what people and our viewers and the community are going through is unprecedented.
I think there's something there, just finding the right person.
And so WRAL has launched an unprecedented campaign called Here to Help.
And they called back about people that are unemployed.
As we do stories about the tough times many of you are going through, we're also letting you and others know about resources that can help.
And what we're trying to do is, story by story, telling our viewers, our community, if you're in this situation, here's what you need to do. Here's how we can be here to help.
Using the TV as a way in which to begin to share information, especially for newcomers who want to know where they can go to get things reconciled, and for folks who've never been in the situation they're in, I think really fits a need.
We're providing opportunities for you to talk live with experts who can help, and we're linking you to other resources through our website.
These are tough times. Most people haven't seen these times in their lifetime, and we're with them, and we are here to help them get through these times.
Whether they've lost their retirement income, their job, or even their home, WRAL is here to help.